All right, let's go.
Cheers. Good morning.
Good morning.
So there are a lot of things, Megan, that I have literally zero tolerance for. One of those things is like I have zero tolerance for people that are rude to wait staff.
Agree.
Cannot stand it. It makes me cringe, makes the hair stand up on my arms. I just don't like it.
It's nasty.
Another thing that I can't stand, I have zero tolerance for children that are disrespectful to adults of any type, like teachers, police officers, whatever. And then the parents think it's real cute. It's not cute when your kid's disrespectful.
No.
Lots of things that I have zero tolerance for.
But what's your feeling about zero tolerance in schools?
Ooh. Well, I'm Marnie.
And I'm Megan.
And we're just trying to make it make sense. So, zero tolerance in schools. What exactly are you talking about?
Okay, well, like they have the rule about if two kids get into an altercation and there's zero tolerance. So it doesn't matter the what for, it doesn't matter why you're involved in the fight. You're going to be in trouble. There will be consequences.
Right.
If you're involved, period.
Do you have an example of maybe how that may have happened?
Actually, I do have an example, and it's sad to me that I can even share an example because you hate to think of your kids experiencing an altercation at school. We get a call one day from the principal of the elementary school to let us know that Jensen had been involved in an altercation. And it stunned me because I was like, Jensen did something? I mean, everyone always thinks like, oh no, not my sweet, precious baby. But really I was like, it shocked me. And I listened to the story and it was sad. I mean, a kid put their hands on Jensen, choked him around the neck with both hands. So he actually came home that afternoon with bruises on his neck. And he was pretty shaken up by it. And it forced him into a position to have to make quick judgment calls. And he did not retaliate. He did not put hands on the other student.
He did better than I would have done.
Me too. I mean, I would have, and I'm not a fighter either. Like I don't know if you came at me if I'd be able to land a punch, but I would certainly try.
I could.
Okay, well, he did not defend himself. And I don't know that I'm so proud to say that. Like, I do kind of wish he would have felt empowered enough to be like, hey, we're not going to tolerate this. He also at the time was president of student council. And so I think he had some fear when I asked him, like, why didn't you defend yourself physically?
Right.
And he's like, well, I was scared that they'd kick me out of student council and I didn't want to get in trouble. You can't fight back.
And that to me is where it goes wrong. Like, let me ask this question. Do you think that same rule would have applied had a boy put his hands on a girl and she defends herself? Try it with my kid and you will need to bring the police to the school.
It's so true though. Like everything is situational, right? And kids should know and have situational awareness and know how to respond and be empowered to respond correctly or in a right way. And I'm not saying that, we need to throw punches, but let's face it. I mean,
you should be able to shove a kid off of you.
Jensen did nothing to defend himself. If, someone comes at Jensen and Jensen returns with a shove and they're both in trouble, was the shove really inappropriate? No, it was an appropriate reaction in self-defense.
For sure.
But they won't hear that. They won't hear the excuse. The school is saying, nope, we don't put hands on people.
Absolutely insanity to me. Back in my day, as I always say in this cast, two boys, if they didn't like each other, two girls in the locker room, whatever it is, if they had a beef, they could duke it out and then they would go have lunch together. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so it was able to get things worked out.
Squash it
and move on. These days, it's just not that way.
I think I can understand where it stems from. Like in the case of like a repeat offender, just the the jerk at school that's always going to have a problem with somebody, call it a bully, that's always going to target people. So, but what's sad is that usually the people that are targeted, they aren't fighters. Like they're going to lose that fight.
The last ones that should be put in campus suspension or sent home or actually in trouble, because to them it is going to mean something, but to the, like you call the reoccurring bully, it's really not going to mean much. And if I'm being honest, they're learning it from somewhere. So I don't think the parents of the bully are going to get too pissed off either. My thoughts is the zero tolerance policy, where it was supposed to be a deterrent, I think, has done the exact opposite. What it has done is it has made the child or the person that is being bullied defenseless, because they do follow the rules. And then it's made the other kid, the aggressor, feel like, oh, well, if I get in trouble, he gets in trouble, so he's going to back off. So I can't,
there's nothing to lose. Our conversation with Jensen when he came home, we were proud of him that he had the resolve and
was
the
able to
forward
restrain
thinking
himself.
to restrain.
Right.
Yes. But also we had to stretch that out a little and say, look, buddy, if this happens again, you're okay. Get in trouble at school, whatever. And I'm not trying to undermine authority of the rules on campus.
Right. Of course. But we have taught our kids, we have instilled in them, if they lay hands on you, you're able to defend yourself. And if you get in trouble, I'll pick you up from school and we'll go celebrate with a big old lunch at a restaurant of your choice.
Yeah, Des kind of mentioned that to Jensen. Don't 100%. Throw the first punch.
Right.
But defend yourself. So how should it be, do you think? If you had to rewrite the policy at school, what would it look like?
I think that if there are witnesses, if a teacher saw it in the hallway, I think that the offender, the bully kid, for lack of better words or whatever, definitely gets in trouble. If it's the first time, they get in trouble. They get the normal called into the office. The parent comes. Yes, it's going to be an inconvenient for you, parent, but you're going to have to leave your work and meet your child in the principal's office and hear why he just tried to beat up another kid in the lunch line. Do I think that they should 100% right then get suspended or expelled? No, I don't. Find the root of it. Maybe do a little exploration into their background, what's happening. Because like Megan said, there is a reason why that child is looking for that feeling of empowerment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So figure it out there. But if it's a second occurrence and a third occurrence, the kid needs to be removed from the classroom, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I think it's so tough. I can appreciate that the schools are in a position where they feel a little bit compromised to exercise any kind of a discernment. If there was a witness to try to make sense of the situation, witnessing it firsthand is one thing, but to hear from, witnesses that watched it go down, now you're asking the school to discern, to make a judgment on what happened. And in the litigious world that we're in now, schools feel like they're scared to have to make those calls.
Somebody's gonna have to start making that call for anything to change. And unfortunately, until there is an actual consequence, which, as we already covered, if the consequence is that both kids get removed from school, that's not really a consequence.
You're punishing the kid that wants to be in school,
right?
That was defending themselves,
right?
And now they're going to be pulled out of school or sent to detention. It's gonna hurt their It will impact their education,
for sure,
and also maybe
their self-esteem,
their spirit for wanting to be the kid that cares enough to not want to be in trouble. It actually kind of does the opposite, I think.
Another little thing that I don't know if it would be a deterrent or not, but whatever that child, the aggressor child, is in, I don't care if he's the football star, the basketball, free shooter, whatever that is.
Okay, well, clearly I don't play basketball because I'm I don't know.
3-point, the band person, the dance team star, the cheerleader, whatever it is, they're done. If that child in their position, a face of the school, is going to turn around and start, now I don't mean defending themselves, but if they're going to start the trouble or whatever, then that child needs to be removed from that position.
If they're shining in some capacity at school and they've got the spotlight and all the adoration of the staff and their peers, they sometimes feel untouchable.
Right.
And what a humbling experience to be like, hey, you know what? Rules do apply to you.
Yeah.
And we're going to strip you of your, you know, starting position on the team.
Yeah.
Or, you're going to go to the games and you're going to be the water boy now.
Yeah,
you know?
100%.
I mean,
So
you
there
still
has
have
to
to be there, but
consequences.
I absolutely agree.
A lot of times I've heard in the past from my kids that, oh, so-and-so got suspended. Oh, well, what are they doing? Oh, they just played Fortnite all day while their parents were at work. Well, I don't know. Call me crazy, but that's not a punishment for a teenager. You know what I mean? They got to stay home. I think a formal apology. If I had, and it has happened, my daughter, and I hope the mom is watching this. We're still very good friends. You're good friends with her. My daughter in kindergarten hit a little girl in her class. And she came home and she actually told me about it. I was mortified. I put her in the car. We drove to this little girl's house. The mom hadn't even known about it yet. We get out of the car. Delilah was bawling. She hugged the little girl. To me, I think that probably made more of an impact for
There's
Delilah.
a lot of humility in having to answer for your actions.
To the parent also.
Yes.
Did you know that there is another zero tolerance rule in the high school? I don't know if you've been told about this. So this zero tolerance policy that I'm referring to in the high school out here in Comal is a drug policy, which 100% I am all on board with. I've never seen any problem until this little tidbit. Did you know that if a child is caught with anything in their backpack or on them, they're suspended from school? So what is happening basically, the reason why I'm calling the BS flag on this particular zero tolerance policy is because another mom in our mom group had a high school kid, and there were some other girls that didn't particularly care for this little girl, and they kept putting things like marijuana papers or wrappers or whatever they are in her bag, and they were calling, so you can do an anonymous tip line at the high school. And they continued to do this to the same little girl.
So they were sabotaging
in high school. They were trying to sabotage her. And so what was happening is that little girl was being called in. She was missing class. Her parents were having to come up to the school. She was sent home on occasion until everything was worked out. That is not right.
That's not okay.
So if you get it, I love the anonymous tip line. I love that. I think for bullying, it's a great idea. Even for drugs, it's a great idea. But don't just 100% take another teenager's word and pull that kid without some sort of, you know, because I asked this mom, I was like, well, did they find anything on her? She's like, well, no, of course not. You know, well, then that should be the end in the squash. You know what I mean? So
gosh,
anyway,
that's terrible.
It is.
I hadn't heard
crazy.
I hadn't heard that. Wow. Well, so tell us what you think, or what has been your experience with this? Have you been in a situation with the school where your kiddo was subject to this zero tolerance policy?
Or maybe your child, not everybody is, you know, there is no perfect child. So maybe it was your kid that was it, and that was the aggressor or the bully. How did you handle that on your side when you got home, when the child got home? How did that pan out for you? But
I'm trying not to laugh because
I'm sorry. We're not gonna cut this time. The kitty's staying in the Charlie is the cat, and she's making her first appearance. And let's wrap this up. So what's for next time?
Well, you know, I can't say too much, but we're in for a sweet treat.
Ooh, and those are my favorite kind.
It's gonna be good.
And as usual,
if you see us out and about, you catch us out at a, what do I always say?
Eatery.
A local eatery. Any local establishment, let's say. Tap us on the shoulder, mim's the word, let us know, and
your next drink's on us.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.